Having a plan when saving for retirement is half the battle won. But to stay on track for the long haul, don't let these common retirement stumbling blocks trip you up. Retirement savings often focuses on a goal that is decades in the future, which can make it inherently difficult. Breaking it up into short, medium, and long-term goals helps, but at any stage, following your financial plan requires consistency and discipline. It also requires an awareness of the common hurdles standing in the way of your retirement nest egg. Here is what to watch out for. Number 1, don't give in to instant gratification. Our need for instant gratification is probably at the top of the list of challenges people face when saving. On the other hand, you could simply not be saving enough and instead spending what you should be putting away. On the other hand, it could be spending your retirement savings when changing jobs. Cashing out your pension fund to pay down debt or simply spending it can be one of the biggest hurdles to saving an effective sum for retirement. We have regulations that is currently trying to address this issue by reforming elements of the retirement process, but it's something that investors need to bear in mind when faced with the option of spending retirement savings.
Number 2, keep up with inflation. One of the largest threats to saving in the long term is inflation, and it's largely invisible. Inflation is the increasing cost of living that you need to keep up with and ideally beat. The value of 1,000 Rand today is less than it was 1 year ago and will be worth even less as the years march on. With inflation averaging around 5% a year over the past 5 years, your investments need to return more than 5% to keep up. This is where costs and fees come in. You need to factor them in before you calculate your returns versus inflation. Suddenly, a 6% annual return that looks great on paper but carries 2.5% in fees does not compare favorably with inflation at 5%. People will generally know if they have invested in low, medium, or high-risk funds, but they won't know what a 2% difference in cost a year actually translates to.
For instance, if you made a 100,000 Rand investment that grows at 6% per year after inflation, that investment would grow to over 300,000 Rand in 40 years if you pay 3% in fees. Now, it all sounds good, but if you only paid 1% in fees, that investment would be worth over 680,000 Rand. 2% now can mean more than 100% over the course of your investment journey. Watch your fees closely. Number 3, ensure the right asset allocation. Related to this is incorrect asset allocation, where savers approaching retirement will typically be underweight in inflation-beating asset classes. In other words, equities and listed property. The mistake investors sometimes make is to switch to so-called safer asset classes like cash without properly weighing the pros and cons with a financial advisor. Now, investors sometimes try to buy certainty, and the certainty is that they don't beat inflation at all.
Number 4, diversify to protect against fluctuating exchange rates. We cannot help but pay attention to the volatile exchange rates, especially during a period of sharp depreciation like the one we've seen in recent months. Asset diversification is an important tool for investors who want to protect themselves against depreciation. And there are numerous products available to South Africans that allow them to get exposure to other markets. Number 5, don't invest emotionally if the markets crash. What many consider an obstacle, a market crash, doesn't necessarily have to be thought of as negative. In fact, market crashes are quite common and occur around once every 7 years. If you continue to save throughout your career and into retirement, you will experience 8 or 9 crashes. The tide comes in and it goes out. The important thing is to not adjust your behavior based on your emotions. This also means that investors should be cautious about being over-optimistic when markets are doing well. Consistency and discipline, especially in the lead up to retirement, are critical. And if you don't stumble over one of these common hurdles, you will likely execute your plan almost perfectly.